Welcome to Prison to Promise, a podcast that amplifies voices of transformation, resilience, and purpose. I'm your host, Dr. Waleed. Today I'm joined by Kerwin Pittman, a man whose authenticity, leadership, and commitment to change have made a lasting mark on justice reform in North Carolina. Kerwin's story takes us from the experience of incarceration to becoming one of the most respected advocates for criminal justice transformation, not only in North Carolina, but across the nation. In this episode, we'll talk about the power of personal growth, finding common ground in policy work, creating support systems for successful reentry, and maintaining emotional balance while pushing for change. We'll also hear his heartfelt advice to his younger self, and to anyone searching for redemption and purpose. This is Craig Waleed, and you're listening to Prison to Promise. Let's go.
Yeah, we're not putting on any airs. We just authentic, So I want to say thank you. There we go. All you missing is the suit, So this is rare. Folks get to see you without the suit.
I didn't know we was doing this. I thought it was just audio. Let me go change. I didn't know.
Well, hey man, we got the authentic version of the brother Kerwin then. So thanks for joining me, man, on this platform. I know you're busy, so I'm gonna try and keep it to like 30, 40 minutes so you could get back to doing what you need to do.
Oh, good. I appreciate you having me.
So let's just jump right in, man. And so, this is a platform where formerly incarcerated people come and share their stories of success or their pursuit of success. And for folks who don't know you, you are a example of post-incarceration success. So we'll get into that. But I guess just for the record, man, maybe you can introduce yourself and then maybe take us back a little bit to the beginning, to maybe some of the pivotal moments that led to your incarceration.
So my name is Kerwin Pittman. I'm the founder and executive director of REPS, RREPS. It stands for Recidivism Reduction Educational Program Services. It's a long name, so for short, we call it REPS, and we do exactly as the name say. We reduce the recidivism rate across North Carolina through education, program, and services. I am someone who is justice impacted and justice involved. I did a substantial amount of time in the carceral system. That means I was in prison for a good amount of time. I did 11 and a half years, was incarcerated from one end of the state of North Carolina to the other, went to numerous institutions throughout my journey. I got incarcerated as a youth, 18, 19, and kind of spent my whole 20s inside of the carceral system. But I'm gonna take y'all back to kind of what landed me in that position. So grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Came from Germany when I was 3 years old to the States. My mom's was my mom and my dad was military. Went to a place called Tarboro, North Carolina, down about Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County. Hurricane Floyd came. And so we moved up here to Raleigh with my grandmother. We would be up here almost every weekend anyway in Raleigh. And so it only made sense for us to migrate to Raleigh after the flood. In Raleigh, started to indulge in things that, any youth would. Like, we stayed in the hood. I kind of grew up in the hood. And so I participated in hood activities. And so sometimes that included in different portions of my life, selling drugs. Sometimes that included in doing robberies. Sometimes that included whatever it took for me to get money. And so that ultimately what streamlined the process for me going into the carceral system, but gangs most importantly. So as I became kind of like a teen, I joined a gang, and I'm one of the type of guy, if I do something, I'll put my all into it. And so I excelled at being a gang member, and eventually rose to a gang leader in my city, and then eventually across the state of North Carolina. But gang activity, a fight, actually what led me into being incarcerated. A fight that turned into a shooting, honestly. And so something as simple as some teens going to fight cost me 11 and a half years of my life.
Wow, man, that's heavy. That's really heavy. And I'm sure a lot of people can identify with that, especially like growing up in the hood, being engaged in hood activity, fights, particularly fights leading to people spending significant time in prison. So thanks for sharing that, man. But tell me, like, during your incarceration, man, this is like kind of like a two-part question. So part was like, was there a moment during your incarceration when you knew you were going to be living differently? And then the second piece is, how did you begin planting seeds of advocacy and purpose during your sentence?
So was it a moment that I changed pretty
Yeah.
much, right? And I
Yeah.
knew I was gonna be living because to be honest with you, when you incarcerated, you know what you want to do, but you don't know, right? And so it's always that daunting feeling of, am I gonna be able to do what I say I'm gonna do? Right. And so we know that doubt it be of thy own rising, right? And so sometimes you got to stump that doubt back out in your mind. And so for those who are incarcerated coming home, it's like, I want to do this. This is my plan. I'm gonna stick to my plan. But when you get out there, or when it's that day for that morning for you to go home, man, listen, it's a different feeling. And it's like, now I got to show and prove. I done talked the talk for all these years or months and told all these people these penitentiary lies. Potentially, if I don't live up to it, now I gotta walk the walk to make it be that what I was saying, it is what it is. So I think for me, kind of one of my aha moment, I like to call it, when I had kind of my epiphany, went in as a youth. So of course I engaged in youth, went in as a youth in a gang, right? And leading a gang.
Yeah.
And so I stayed in the hole, I stayed on investigation, I stayed stuff happening, getting into stuff. So out of my many stints of solitary confinement, and total throughout the course of my incarceration, I did close to 1,000 days total, like in solitary confinement alone by itself. But one of my many stints in solitary confinement, this particular time I did 365 days in the hole. I did long term, and it got extended to another 6 months. So I did literally 365 days in a room the size of a small bathroom or a parking lot, depending on what institution, or parking space, excuse me, not lot, parking space, depending on what institution you was in. And so in that moment, I talked to the case manager that came around checking in the cells, and I was able to get a phone call. I don't know if it was just God. It was just God. It was divine timing, y'all. Let me say that, right? It's because the case manager agreed to give me a phone call. I can't remember what I said. Somebody was sick or something, but I was finessing. I hadn't talked to my people in 7 months. And, and I was a guy that my mother was like my biggest advocate. And so she would write me letters every week. And so not being able to talk to her, like it crushed me. Right. Because that's who kept me sound. That's who kept me grounded. That's who let me know that it was light at the end of the tunnel, that this too shall pass. Just make sure I was being a better person for Kerwin Pittman. And so when Kerwin Pittman came home, he could do the best for himself, right? So I got the phone call, and of course they shackle you at what they call 5-point restraints, right? And so what that means is your wrists is in handcuffs, both of your wrists. That is then handcuffed by a lock to your waist, to some shackles, right? And so that's 3 points, and then it lead to iron shackles, which are cuffed to that on each leg, and those are cuffed together. So you got to kind of shuffle. And for those who listen to this, you know what I'm talking about. That shuffle with the sound of them chains jingling as you shuffle, going to wherever you going when you on lockup or wherever you got going on, and they got you in those full restraints. And
You're
so
at a risk of falling on your face too.
definitely a risk of falling on your face. So that's why I said you got to learn that shuffle, because if your shuffle ain't right, you're going to fall.
Show
And in the beginning, I fell a couple times or bruised up on my ankles. And for those who know, you know what I'm talking about.
Show enough.
So shuffled into the office, got the phone call, and this was back during the time. Wasn't no cell phones, y'all. It was like, if they want home, they want home. It was the house phone. Call the
That
house phone,
landline.
the landline, right? And so my mama picked up. I said, okay. Talking to my mama, she started crying. She was happy. My grandma was there talking to her. She started crying and said, I got a 2-for-1. Look at God working for me. My brother was there, talked to him, cool. So after about 15 minutes, they shut the call down. My mission was accomplished. So as I shuffled back to my room, it was like something started to change. And so as I shuffled back up the stairs, trying not to fall, as the guards took off the cuffs from around my legs and my waist, left the handcuffs on me, but took the chains off of me, it was like stuff was falling off my mind, literally. Right. And what I mean is that my mind began to open up to change. And so those one of those moments where I honestly can visualize chains falling off of my mind as I waited to go back in that door. And when they closed the door behind me, and I stuck my hands out through the trap that was still handcuffed, and they took those off me. When they closed that flap, that trap door inside the door, when they closed it up, boom, it was like I was changed. And my world had opened up, and I began to realize that, yeah, you might do something to somebody and they're going to hurt for a little bit. Something might happen to you and it's gonna hurt for a little bit, but the people you love the most, they hurting. So when they broke down crying on that phone, it did something to me. And then I realized that, like, I was doing time, but they was doing time with me. Right. And it's some of those moments brothers they'll never realize that your people, when people bidding with you, really realize, like, these people are literally doing time with you.
Yeah.
Like, they're locked up with you in some type of semblance of their life, right? Because they bidding with you. right? And so, yeah, it was at that point where it began to open up for me, bro.
How deep into your sentence were you when that happened?
I was about 5, 6 years in,
Okay, so you're about at the halfway point.
about that halfway point. I was about 5 in, I
Yeah,
believe. Let me see.
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Might have been 11. Yeah, yeah, definitely about 5 in.
About 5
About
in.
5,
And
6 in.
you and you mentioned, like, when the flap closed, it's like things just happened. But I'm thinking it didn't just happen instantly. I'm thinking, like, up to that point, somebody was dropping seeds on you. You were taking an observation of things. Like, what were those things that, like, mama and family folks or just from your own experience, like, really convinced you up to that point? Like, what was going on for you?
So yeah, it didn't honestly, that was like it didn't just boom boom and I was Kerwin Pittman today, right? And so it was like the seed, the chain was taken off and then a seed was planted, right? And of course with seeds, it take cultivation and watering, and that was just different people in my life for me to bloom. And of course, my mother and them always planted the seed that this too shall pass. This is
Mhm.
just a moment in your life. This is, different. You're not defined by a mistake that you may have made or whatever. They would always plant good, positive things into me. But to be honest with you, when I came out of solitary confinement, it was the brothers on the yard who I began to take to then, right? Because like when I came out, my mindset was different, right? That seed had been planted. The
Right,
gates was open, the gate was
right.
unlocked, right? And it was on me to go in deeper and explore. But so I didn't want to talk about Nicki Minaj's latest song and all that stuff like my peers was talking about. I had been reading, so I honestly began to study while I was in solitary confinement. I treated it like college, right?
Mhm.
And so a old head told me that dang, what'd he say? Anyway, old head would drop jewels on me, right? And it would be little sayings that I didn't realize would materialize later on in my life.
You shared
You
that
had to
with me
see
too.
you had to see serving time and let the time serve you.
Yep.
Right. And so that was one of the things I did. I see serving time and really began to let the time serve me. So I treated it like college. I would study. I would order books. I would get books off the library card that came around. I would read. So I would study psychology. I would study Afrocentric history. I
Mhm.
would study like literature. I would study philosophy. I would study all of the books that are banned now, the 48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, Machiavelli, the Prince. Like I would study, and I'm in solitary confinement, so I don't have nothing but time to sit back and read and study, think about the concept, apply it to my life, figure out. So when I came out, it was like I had been to college.
Yep.
And so I didn't want to talk about Nicki Minaj. I wanted to talk about I wanted to talk about different philosophers and different things of that nature. And so my peers weren't into that. And so it automatically made me gravitate towards older people who had something on their mind. And a lot of times these are people who are serving life sentences.
Mhm.
And I believe I told you the story one time about one of the old heads that he had instilled something in me a minute ago. We would see each other. He said one day to me, he said, "Man, you got to make the main thing the main thing." Now, this
Yeah.
after I came off of solitary confinement, I'm at Scotland Correctional. For those who don't know, Scotland Correctional during that time was one of the most deadliest prisons in North Carolina. People was getting stabbed on a daily. Like it was serious. It was no joke. Like if guards, like people, like it was serious. It was a serious institution. And so I would see old head. He said, "Man, you got to make the main thing the main thing." And I'm like, "What is he talking about? The main thing?" Man?" And so I really thought on that thing, right? And so every time I would see him, our greeting became, "You got to make the main thing the main thing."
Mhm.
And so then we shortened it down because both of us would be moving and grooving through the institution. And so we'd see each other and we wouldn't say what's up. We'd just say main thing the main thing. And both of
Mhm.
us would just keep walking by each other. But for sure, that seed was planted in me. Like you have to make the main thing in life the main thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what that really meant for me. And I took away from it. And so if the main thing was me getting out being a better person, I had to make that the main thing in my life and do what it took for that to continue to be the main thing in your life.
Right.
Right. And that's something I take out here because in the free world, as we were saying, we was locked up in the free world,
Mhm.
people out here ain't gonna understand. People that's in there don't realize that life moves so fast out here. Right. And so you thinking you're gonna go to the store and do this, but then you get a call from such and such, somebody didn't got in a wreck, somebody didn't hit you, your whole plan is gone. Right. And so even if something as simple as just making the main thing the main thing, so your overall goal, what you want to do, make it the main thing and stick with it, man. You got to make the main thing the main thing. So me and old head would see each other, main thing the main thing, and we'll keep it pushing.
And that sounds like just being focused up, man. focused up on what's important to you and getting to it. And so we know you've been out for a quick minute, and since you've been out, you've been making some serious waves in the community, particularly for people who've been impacted by the systems, people who've been locked up, et cetera, et cetera. And so, how do you balance now the work that you do, somewhat that of a critic of the system, but while at the same time working like shoulder to shoulder almost with policymakers and people and institutions to help create change? How do you balance that?
At first, it was difficult, right? And it was difficult because after George Floyd was murdered, former Governor Roy Cooper, he made something called TREC, the Task Force for Racial Equity and Criminal Justice. And long story short, what a lot of people don't know is the reason he even convened that commission was based off a conversation I had with him after I led one of the largest protests in North Carolina, right? And so the city of Raleigh was ultimately later on that night ultimately sustained some damage, and so that prompted the governor to call in me, who was all over the news, leading the people all through the city, and the conversation was had, and he finally told me that based off of that conversation, this is why this particular task force came about, and so he asked me to be on this task force, and so the Task Force for Racial Equity and Criminal Justice was born, and it was a task force to look at different inequities in the criminal justice system, to try to fix these inequities and change policies inside different institutions, that could kind of make it equitable for the people, and so long story short, it was made up of diverse individuals from law enforcement to community members to advocacy groups to people with lived experience. And so I was a person up there with lived experience, went through the system. I'm kind of new the system. And so I thought I was gonna go in there and change the world. You hear me?
Yeah,
I had arrived.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
boy,
yeah.
I'm about to throw everything, get it. We about to tear all of this down. But then when I realized when I got in it and I would make recommendations and different things, I realized that Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And then we were looking at systems of systematic oppressions or institutions that they have been fortified year after year after year after year, century after so like it was fortification of years, and I was expecting me to come in and tear it down in 7, 8 months, right, and rebuild anew. It didn't happen, and so what I realized is that going into these spaces, you know, standing shoulder to shoulder with individuals who may be over these spaces, a lot of times it's common ground, right? And it's about finding that common ground, staying true, authentically true to yourself. That's most important, right? Before you find that common ground, when you go in these spaces, be you. Don't
Mhm.
change. Be unapologetically you. Like I am who I am. I am who I am, and who I'm not, I will never be.
Right on.
Right? You
I
know what I
like
mean?
that.
Like that's you have to have that type of mindset and attitude and mentality. And so I went in those spaces like this. And so I found that a lot of the times it was middle ground, and that middle ground then allowed me the opportunity to implement or to tell them about whatever policy that I would love to see implemented inside of the institutions and different things of that nature. So that's how I continue to move now, and that's how I can sit on a lot of panels and how I can go to sleep with myself at night. Because some people get in these positions and they sell the people out. They turn,
So
they change, they get on some BS, they lock them up. Now they on some lock them up. I'm still authentically me. I'm still here trying to free people, but make it a way that's when we free them, people got resources.
right.
Because I know the state got resources,
Yeah.
right? So when these people free, let's get these. Not only are we gonna free them, let's get them some resources before they come out, and make sure they got a plethora of resources when they come out. Why? Because I don't want them to go back in there. We're
Right.
reducing the recidivism rate, and so that's how I continue to lead and do what I do, brother, man, and still maintain integrity amongst the people, because I can move from what I call grassroots down here with the people, like the
Mhm.
advocacy group, going in the hood, talking to the people. Then I hear their concerns, what's going on, and I can take that in a policy form and elevate that to the grass tops, the policymakers,
Yeah.
those who are actually in decision making position that can really change some stuff. And that's how I've been able to move from grassroots to grass tops.
Mhm. And you've been doing some amazing work, man. Whenever I see your work posted on LinkedIn or whatever, I always repost it and always have an affirmative comment to say. I think the last thing I saw, I think the governor was on your boat, on your bus. I was about to say boat, but he was on your
Yeah,
bus. Yeah, and I reposted, and just said, "Yo, this brother and this team are doing some amazing work." And I know I have significant people following me on LinkedIn, so I know you do too. But that just helps get that message out there.
that's right. And I appreciate the support. Yeah, the governor recently came onto the Mobile Recidivism Reduction Center. And so for those who don't know, the Mobile Center is our latest project at Reps that I created. what I did was I took a bus, like a school bus, one of the short buses, but a little bigger. It was a passenger. I gutted it out. I transformed it to be an actual mobile center with different plus couches, wood and grain on the inside. I put a bathroom inside, but most importantly, I staffed it with people with lived experience who gonna help other people in the community rise up from some of their worst days. So if that's providing them with vital identification, whether it's social security card, birth certificate, ID, connecting them back with Medicaid, Medicare, providing them hygiene packets, providing them inclement weather supplies, providing them food, providing them harm reduction supplies, that's fentanyl test strips, Narcan, teaching classes about Narcan. We got different tablets on the center. People can come up there and create resumes. We've been able to place people in jobs immediately because I got the recidivism reduction call center or hotline, which is all throughout the tablets on DAC, right? So for those who are in North Carolina prison system, you're gonna see about the call center on your hotline pop up, on your tablet periodically. Utilize that information, utilize that resource. So we do it a bunch of things on the mobile center, still doing great things. In our first 70 days of operation, we serviced over 3,000 people in Raleigh, Durham, and Greensboro. And so now I got a second mobile center that's going to the eastern part of the state. It started out this week in the eastern part of the state. It's down there now. And so, yeah, the goal is to get as many mobile centers and deploy them to as many areas, particularly one to the west and then the south central part of the state to help as many people as we can.
Yo, that's what's up, man. That's definitely what's up. You know, we have to help each other because ain't nobody else gonna help us like we help each other. And one of the things that I think about when I talk about helping each other is I think about people who are part of like fraternities and sororities, wherever they go on the globe, if their frat or sorors are there and they make themselves known, they got carte blanche help.
That's it.
Everything they need is right there. So I think those of us who are coming out of prison, making better lives for ourselves, for our communities, we are almost obligated to do the same for other people who are coming behind us. Or else we're going to have a horrible spot or horrible communities, and we're going to have people continually going back into prisons.
That's right.
But, if I could roll back real quick, though, because you talked
sure.
about the importance of being authentic to yourself, and being able to stand 10 toes down, being yourself. And I'm thinking about when we come out of prison, we need healing. A lot of us need healing because we've been harmed before we went to prison, and living in prison harmed us even more.
For sure.
But in order to bring about healing, we have to be authentic to ourselves, and we got to know ourselves. So with that precursor, what I'm trying to get at is the question, which is what role do you think healing plays in the journey from prison to post-incarceration success and beyond for both individuals and communities?
Healing is a part of the process. My healing journey began while I was in, when I said I had that epiphany moment, right? Until then, I wasn't healed. And so, and the first step of me healing was I had to forgive myself, right? I had to realize that I made a mistake, and that I was a teen and that I had to forgive myself. If not, I felt like my past mistake was a fetter tied to both of my legs and was holding me down underwater and continued to drown me. And so I had to free myself from those chains in order to rise above that water so I could breathe. And so that was the first step in freeing self, right? And so I had to forgive self for where we landed at with self, right? And that was inside a prison, an institution, inside of another side of the prison, right? Because the hole is like a whole nother world. If you ever been to the hole, it's different from the yard. It's a whole nother world. So you
Folks don't want to know.
So you isolated from the real world inside of a prison, in another prison inside that prison, right? And then another prison inside your mind.
Oh,
So
man.
I had to free self.
Yeah.
And so in order for me to begin that journey, to be honest with you, I had to forgive myself. I had to say, Kerwin, you made a mistake and it's okay. But based on how you move forward and you live your life from here will determine like the total sum of your life, not this mistake you made. This don't determine the total sum of your life work and who Kerwin Pittman is. It's just a learning, teachable moment that you have to learn from and know not to make that mistake and grow from and help others not to make that mistake. And so with that thought and mission in mind, boom, I began the journey of healing, right? I begin the journey of forgiveness of self. I began the journey of then to realize that, my family forgave me. Like the people who I looked up the most to, who meant the most in the world to me, because I didn't care about if anybody else outside of the people I love the most forgave me, you know what I mean? And the people I harmed. And so when I realized like that was forgiven, like it was like the circle was complete. And so a lot of the times the saying hurt people, and this is true, bro. A lot of the times hurt people. I come from a home that I had my mother and my father, but my father was on drugs all my life. My mother was sickly all my life. And so I carried a lot of anger. Right. And I didn't realize why I carried a lot of anger and still processing to this day, right? Which ultimately led me into being good inside of a gang because anger equates to me doing violence.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
um
Dealt with my own angers for years.
yeah.
I definitely understand. And I had a
So
violent
so
case.
trying to figure it out and process it and figure out how to make you the better you. But I say all that to say that whoever's listening to this, you are not, your life is not defined by a mistake you made.
Mhm.
Forgive yourself, process what you did, forgive it, forgive yourself, and it's time to move forward.
Yeah.
Your healing journey should begin. And for those who are on their healing journey, stay on it. Make the main thing the main thing. Stick to the script.
Main thing to
Putting
make.
self first. Make the main thing the main thing.
Yeah. And I like how you said that put self first. And you know, like when you're on the plane, they always say, yo, if that oxygen drop down, you put yours on first
Goes on first.
and then help
Help
scram
the
yours.
person besides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make the main thing the main thing.
Self-preservation. You got to make
That's
the
right.
main thing the main thing.
That's right. Take care of your ass
Yeah.
first.
You trying to help me and you ain't got no mask on. I'm gonna look at you. You don't know what you're doing clearly.
Right. Because both
Back
eyes
up.
gonna fall out. You know? So, yo, man, you know, you mentioned family. You clearly, you know, you've been out for a while, you're making an impact. Family was a great support for you. And most people who've been in the prison and coming out understand that. Even people who are doing research understand the importance of family and community supports. But outside of that, man, like what kind of other support systems or opportunities made a big difference in your successful reentry, or do you think could help in other people's successful reentry?
Outside of that, I really didn't have no support. Nobody, I didn't have the support, so I created it. So I created reps because I realized that it was a big gap in reentry services and just having that support of formerly incarcerated people and network of formerly incarcerated people investing in other formerly incarcerated people.
Mm.
So which made me which made me found my nonprofit, to be honest with you, because I wanted to make sure that even though I had the family support, a lot of people don't.
Right.
Right. Some people done burnt their bridge. Some people just life circumstances just led them to not having that family support, whether their family members that love them the most died or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Life
What happened?
circumstances led to
Yeah.
them. So I wanted to make sure that people had support because I realized the important without support, without somebody telling you, bro, good job, strong work, bro, you're doing good. I believe in your work. Like it's things like that that you can sow into people that make a world of difference. And so I make sure when I'm out in the field, boots on the ground, I'm on the mobile centers, that I treat people like people because they is people,
That's
right?
right.
Regardless if they formerly incarcerated or not, regardless if they at their lowest or they at their highest, I'm gonna treat you with the same respect. I'm gonna look you eye to eye. I'm gonna talk to you the same, and it's gonna be me, authentically me. And so I realized people needed that support, and a lot of people didn't have it. And I was blessed to have that type of support, bro. I ain't even gonna lie.
That's dope, man. That's dope. So maybe one or two more things I want to touch on and get you
All
out of
right.
here, and I'll jump out
No,
of
it's
here.
all good. I'm enjoying it. Let's rock.
Right on, and I'm enjoying it as well, man. But tell me this, man. You know, with this work that we do, working with formerly incarcerated people, system impacted people, sometimes we're re-traumatized. You know, and that can happen over and over, sometimes in one day. But how do you keep yourself grounded emotionally, maybe even spiritually, while doing this work?
So working out became one of my stress relievers while I incarcerated, and so I
Mhm.
still work out to this day.
Yeah, y'all should see this joker. He's swole.
I still try to keep the same discipline, right? And I
Uh,
still try to make the main thing the main thing. And I realized that out of all of that, me being institutionalized in some ways, it led me to have some discipline in
yeah,
some ways, right? And so waking up early ain't a bad thing, y'all. Sleeping in to feel good sometimes, but sometimes when you sleep in too late, you didn't. The early bird get the worm. So
that's
a
right.
lot of these things that the old heads say, like I understand it now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so keeping that discipline is one of the ways that I try to maintain. My sanity. So
Yeah.
doing this work, it is triggering, it is re-traumatizing, it is hurtful. I went in what institution? I went in an institution to speak. I think it was a federal prison. And the smell of cleaning supplies, cleaning solution, and Bob Barker soap took me back for a second. And I did state time. I hadn't done federal time, but all the smells are the same. Right? I don't care where you go. It's cleaning solution, cleaning supplies, and Bob Barker soap for me. So when that smell hit me, it took me back for a minute. For a minute, I closed my eyes and I had on a outfit that they would give you when you dress out when you were incarcerated, right? And so my mind it shifted back as if I was back locked up, and so I had to tell myself like, "Bro, you're not locked up.
Yeah.
You're free." So you have to constantly reinforce yourself that you are free. You are free. You are here and you belong here. Meaning, like, you don't belong here being incarcerated. You belong here, like, here to help the people.
Right. In this
Here
role,
to go
this
in and give the
capacity.
world, in this world, this capacity to go in and help the people, give them an inspirational message, sow into them like old heads, sow into you, main thing, and whatever it may be, right? And go from there. I remember, I'm gonna share one more thing. While at the federal prison, and I had been in a couple prisons a couple of different times, right? I had to use the bathroom as soon as I walked in. So we go through like not the intake, we go through the front part, right? Because I'm used to going through intake.
Right.
I want you go through around the back through intake, where they process you in. So I'm going through the front door. And so I'll go through the metal detector and all this. And I had to use the bathroom. I had to pee. And so I was like, "Can I use the bathroom?" They was like, "Yeah, it's right there." The door said for staff only. It messed me up, y'all. So I was like, my mind reverted. I can't go in this bathroom.
Right.
So I had to sit there for a second and say, "Bro, you free.
That's right. I belong here.
You belong here. Go use this bathroom and snatch the sign down while you're there before you go in there." And I started to. I was this close, but I didn't. I ain't trying to get them to put me out, boy. I thought about it though. Like I said, this bathroom for everybody.
That's right. You had to use your discernment.
Yeah, that's right.
So what would you tell, as we get ready to wrap this up briefly, what would you tell a young Kerwin? Say, Kerwin, you are now, if you could talk to Kerwin, who was the guy who went to prison, what would you tell him just before going to prison or getting that charge or on his way in? What would be some jewels you drop on him?
So many. But at that mindset and that age, man, you invincible. You can't tell me nothing. I rule the world. I know everything. Something my family would always tell me, right? My mama would always say, which was a prelude to what was really the truth. She would always say, "Kerwin, we your gang." And so a lot of people that join gangs, they don't have family, right? I had family, so they were like, "Kerwin, we your gang."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, y'all, yeah, you my gang, like, you know what I mean? Like, you my people, my family." But I didn't understand what she was meaning until I got older and it really unfolded on me, meaning through the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, they was gonna be 10 toes with me regardless, right? And not to say that whatever gang people are in that's not gonna be the same for them, right? But I realized like this was the root that I came from.
Yeah.
Right. This was the flesh of my flesh, the blood of my blood. You see what I'm saying? And so I realized that this was my gang. And so I would tell a younger Kerwin that think before you act. Be careful of the choices you make. Be careful of the people you encounter. Be careful of the people you befriend. And stop being so damn angry.
Yeah.
The world, it's okay, bro. The world don't owe you nothing. Stop being angry. It's all right.
Right on.
It's all right.
And
That's make great. The main thing the main thing.
Main thing, the main thing. I like that. We might have to entitle this episode "The Main Thing, the Main Thing" with Kerwin Pittman. So,
for sure.
Last thing, Kerwin, how can people follow up with you, support your work?
For sure. So you can always follow my work through social media on Facebook, Kerwin Pittman, Instagram, activist Kerwin_Pittman, LinkedIn, Kerwin Pittman, also reps RREPS on Facebook, RREPS on I think underscore on Instagram. The same on LinkedIn, Recidivism Reduction Educational Program Services. You can go to our website, www.rreps.net, and you could call our hotline if you ever need reentry support and reentry services. And I'm looking over here at the number. The number is 1-888-852-0004. Again, 1-888-852-0004. And that is the Recidivism Reduction Call Center or hotline. Call in and get resources. Feel free to reach out to me. We have a case manager on team, and so if somebody just needs some help with case management, and they might need a little extra loving and support, and we have a case manager help guide them through whatever stumbling blocks they may be facing and help push them through. And so y'all follow up with us, follow us, and get in contact with me. We'd love to hear from you. If you are listening to this message, when you get into the free world, right, follow up with me. Reach out, tap in with me. Let me know you heard the podcast and you want to just tap in, you want to be a part. I am starting to build out networks of formerly incarcerated people just as involved and just impacted individuals, and utilizing these individuals not only in my organization by giving them jobs, but putting them in trainings that I pay these individuals to be in these trainings, to put them in different spaces and places. So y'all come tap in with us, and make sure when you come home, make the main thing, man.
Right on. Hey, yo, and there you have it, right from the good brother, Kerwin Pittman. The brother's the truth, y'all. Follow up with him. Yo, Kerwin, it's been great, man. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate you, brother, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Right on, brother. I'll be following up with you soon.
Okay, sounds
All right,
good.
man. All right, man. Have a great day.
All right, you too, bro.
All right, man. Thanks again. Peace.
Hey y'all, thanks for hanging out with me for another episode of the Prison to Promise podcast. If you or someone you know would like to share their Prison to Promise story on this platform, please hit me up at drcraigwaleed@gmail.com. I'll spell it for you. It's DrCraigWaleed@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.